Wouldn't, and don't edit this out. I would not change the journey because I think it's such a fundamental part of people understanding
Yeah.
that you are just not gonna walk into, a level of supposed success and not pay penance.
Wow.
Umithi.
Wow.
Umithi, umatlhogonolo. Kalinyazo. Batswana ba nyatsana,
Yeah,
ba
for sure,
nyatsana.
for sure,
Abana,
for
it's
sure.
sad. And I say it with a sneer on my face to personify the ugliness of it.
Ibrahim Traore?
He is the sexiest. He's the sexiest thing that has ever come out of this earth in my lifetime. I have a
Gap City, B-Dub, Africa, the rest of the world. What's going on? And welcome to another episode of the Juice 2.0. Thank you so much for stopping by. You're amazing. Returning subscriber, you guys are just really awesome. In case you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Click subscribe, let the family grow. Today's episode is very special because I am back to my sister's house. And when I'm back at my sister's house, it means some alcohol. The first time we had some cognac, some whiskey. I forgot about the names of the drinks, but it's all really just great vibes. In case you don't know who I'm talking about, and we're back by public demand. She is the executive head HR at Botswana, but she's so much more. And today, we'll bring it back to you because the first time, you guys had an amazing time, and I bumped into a lot of people in the streets talking about, oh my God, Matty needs to come for the second time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a good guy. I listen to the people's cries. And because you guys wanted her for the second time, I need you to put your hands together for the electric. Sometimes very crazy. And I say this the first time, and it's still going to be a crazy episode. But she's very insightful. She's a thinker. She's very intelligent. And we're going to be talking about a lot of array of things. Put your hands together, please, resoundingly, for the wonderful Matty Mponang.
Yeah, you do a lot for a person's ego, right?
Wow. I mean,
Like, really?
how do you feel? Intros are supposed to make you feel like the person you really are. How do you feel after that introduction?
I feel good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the alcoholic part because alcohol has been used to weaponize. It's been used to weaponize myself. No, but don't change anything about it.
I got you.
Please, no, don't change anything about it because I do love to drink, but it's a Friday and I'm
Right.
working because this is work.
Right.
And yeah, we're here.
It's good to see you.
And you're drinking, and it's so
Hey,
good to see you.
hey.
I have missed you.
Have you?
I have.
How
You don't
much?
believe me?
How much, Matty? How much are we talking about?
On a scale of what?
On a
1 to 10?
On a scale of a 10.
Maybe 8.5.
That's good enough.
Yeah, because you're quite intelligent. Yeah. You know how intelligence works with osmosis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
from higher densities to lower densities. So whenever I'm around you, I don't feel like I'm starving.
No.
Of my own sense of thought.
you can't. Look, it's so good to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having us back into your house, beautiful house. We're calling it the fireside chat.
Yeah.
The first time was incredible. You're an amazing human being. We met your family. Today I met your kids as well. The Mr. P is here as well. So it's pretty much almost the same vibe that we got the last time. But the feedback on the streets, like I was saying in my intro, is amazing. But I wondered, how was it for you? We shot the first episode. We put it out there. The trailer did great. The numbers, did what they do. Apparently, numbers don't lie. But I just wonder, how was the feedback? What did people say to you after the first episode?
I think a lot of people were like, where did you do it?
Oh!
Yeah, they were like, where did you do it? I mean, there were some people that are credible that were like, yeah, we wondered, why did you do it?
Right.
Not from a negative place,
Right,
but
right.
more from before they saw it, right? Okay, she's with TKay.
Yeah.
It can only be mayhem. Yeah, your reputation precedes you, my friend. And and I was just like, I did it because I wanted to do it, because I wanted to kind of lend my brand to something that is organic and that is Botswana based.
Right.
And that speaks to, I guess, like who we are. And and after they saw it, then they were like, "Oh, now we know
Now
why
we see
you
why you
did
did
it."
it.
Yeah, but there was so much positive feedback.
I love it.
There was so much positive feedback. Like, like I did not even understand how people view me.
Yeah.
Or how people have viewed me in the past. Outside of that construct of that original podcast.
Yeah.
And I did it because, I just did.
Right.
Because I'm dead. And I'm about to start my own podcast with you.
We're about to talk about that.
Yeah,
We're about to
with
talk
you,
about. I'm
we'll
super
get
excited
into
about
that.
that.
But
The cat's almost out the bag.
the cats, yeah. But you know what? Like the question that you asked me right now, it was, as you like to say, resoundingly. Resoundingly.
Right.
It was resoundingly well received.
I love that.
I think people just loved the authenticity. They loved
Yeah.
the fact that we're being real. We're having a real conversation. We're not pretending.
Yeah.
And my hope is today, the reason why I'm back with
you
is
see.
because I don't want pretense. Yeah.
You see, the next question in my head, which is why I know you and I are going to be amazing on our podcast, was going to be, what do you hope for this episode to be, given that we have had the first episode and it did what it did, and we're having sort of a 2.0 now. What are you hoping to get out of this episode?
I think, you know what? Like, let me tell you something. I think people are starved of just seeing people that are seen as being figures in society. And people are just starved of seeing those people just being real and just being themselves. I think people are just tired of your, tone deaf, written speech.
Right.
Where somebody stands there and is politically correct,
Yeah.
Well, I would, I have to be careful because I don't want to piss off my bosses or people that I empower, But I mean, and I know when people do, they're talking about people that I empower. I think that people that are empowered that are sexy. Like I remember the other day I was at the FMB, the what is it? The sports event.
Right. The Grand Prix?
Yeah, the Grand Prix,
Right.
And the president of Botswana showed up, and this dude is like wearing black. All black.
I'm bringing sexy back.
I can't say that.
Okay,
because I kind of respect. I kind of respect his wife, because his wife is somebody that I look up to. She's younger than me, but I kind of like her. I don't think it would sit right with her if I said that.
I understand.
But I mean, but the guy looked good,
Right.
But you see, the thing is, there's nothing that beats brilliance.
Right.
That also is decorated with just a look.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the guy, when he goes into the office, he looks the part.
Mm-hmm.
When he is in his personal space, he looks the part.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
which we do as well.
Yeah.
Which we do as well. And we do it with ease. Get
For
out
sure.
of TKay.
For sure.
You're a lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm a psychologist. I work in corporate. You work in corporate.
Right.
But we also are able to have this podcast.
Yeah.
And we're able to relate in this manner. So why should he not? And I think that is, but the thing is, what people sleep on about Duma Boko is, one time he had an answer to the sonar, and
Right.
I will not get into it today because
Why not?
Come
on, Matty.
Well, he basically, his response to the sonar 1 year.
Yes.
Because I want to challenge people to become owners of their own knowledge, right? And to become real people that really get to understand their own intelligence. I mean, it was really about hip hop. And his answer was so placed in the art of hip hop.
Right.
You're like, oh, dude is American educated. Dude gets it. Dude is, and this is way before he became president. I mean, and I want to see, you can even, anybody who can come up with his response to the sauna that was deeply mired in hip-hop.
In hip-hop? We got a prize for them?
Yeah.
We got a little prize for them?
I got a prize for them.
We got a prize for you. So you guys, dig
and,
in.
I will pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is that we have to understand that we are metaphysing ourselves and we are transforming ourselves. Like, look at Ablo.
Oh.
Ablo was an architect.
Oh.
He was able to put up stages for the likes of Kanye West.
Right.
He died of cancer when he was literally, the designer for Louis Vuitton.
For LV, yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
Visionary.
And,
yeah, like you cannot be subjugated to a singular stream of thinking just because you are this person and you are a lawyer like
right.
You're just not gonna die being a lawyer. You should be able, like, look at Rihanna. I talk about Rihanna all the time.
Yeah.
Rihanna, she started off and she was a singer. Right, and then she became an actress.
Yep.
And now
Had
Fenty. Then she did Fenty
makeup. Yep.
And then she got into lingerie.
Yeah.
I think, why not?
So do you feel like we're
Why
gonna go back to the president, because I have a question about if you feel he's the coolest president we've ever had, right? But just on what you're speaking about now, the idea that a human being is not one dimensional.
No.
Right? And you're able to do all these things and be successful at each and every aspect of you? Because there's a school of thought that says, Matty, sometimes when you're a lot of things at a go, you're not able to be successful at all of the things. There's one thing that you possibly, or one aspect of you that you're really focusing on and you're successful at. What do you make of that thought?
Listen, I don't think you can be all things to all people at all times.
Right.
I do think that when you act with intent, right, and you are very directive in where you concentrate your energies towards, you can be successful at whatever it is.
At whatever it is.
Yeah, that you want to be successful at.
So easy.
Now,
my bad.
No.
Go ahead.
You're bad, but my bad as well for interrupting you. Did you want to ask me something?
No, I actually thought you were done, and I wanted to go back to that question.
I wanted to complete the thought in the sense that I think the meat of the matter is you can really be a person who, like, right now, what time is it? Look at the time. What time is it?
I think it's around
Anyone,
9.
what time is it? Yeah, it's 9. It's 9.
8:33.
It's 9 on a Friday.
Right.
Some people are busy drinking, celebrating. I don't know what they're celebrating. I don't know what their successes. Yeah, they're celebrating their successes, right? I'm sitting here, like, recording a podcast.
Right.
It's my choice. With intention, because I want to project a particular viewpoint about my ideas and who I am. Right. And what people don't understand is that, on Fridays, people will be doing whatever. And it's not like I don't want to. You can drink on a podcast.
Of course.
I can't.
Of course.
Because you have to understand, TKay, if I drink on a podcast, whatever it is I say on the podcast, people are going to think she said it because she was drunk. You understand?
I get that.
And I want to be able to be on this podcast and not drink and represent my reality. So people and young kids can understand, no, she said it because she meant it. Because that's who she is.
Say it with your chest.
Of course. My huge chest. But, going back to the original point and to show you how sober I am, I'm going to go back to the original question.
Yeah.
I think he is a cool president. I am
the coolest we've had. Because, I mean, when you say coolest now, you're talking about comparison, right?
I'm not sure whether he's the coolest we've had. I think Ramasire remains the coolest president I've had.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he's a very cool president. But Ramasire had a swag. Ramasire didn't dress like him.
Yeah.
Ramasire didn't go to Harvard. He
Right.
went where he went.
Right.
And I'm not saying this because I'm from the South and Ramasire was from the South. I will die. No, I will die.
The bias
I know,
is right.
I will die. I will die.
There's some
loving
bias.
Ramasire. No, listen, I will die loving Ramasire. Ramasire, one of the coolest things that he ever said. I think in Batunde people had misrepresented him. I don't know. And I fundamentally believe in that. Ramasire was so charismatic.
Of course.
He could turn jokes out of anything. He could literally look at a very sad encounter in history and like really not make merry out of it, but make merry out of the occasion from a place of lightening the mood. I mean, that's a skill.
Yeah.
I think this guy, being Duma Boko, has that.
Yeah.
But I don't know him. You know, Ramasira, I did not know him.
Right.
I would be lying.
Right.
I think I met him and encountered him a few times. I mean, my career grew a lot under his
administration.
regime. Yeah,
Right.
because I was just coming out of school. And then Ramasire was when I was going to school. Ramasire was when I was coming out of school. And then
Also very cool if you really think about it.
Yeah, no, like Remogai. Like, remember when Remogai at Ramasire's, I think it was Ramasire's, when his memorial service.
Yes.
Remogai spoke about Ramasire.
Yeah.
And then he dropped the mic.
Yeah,
I mean, how cool is that?
That mic drop was a mic drop moment. Yeah.
And so for me, I really think Duma Boko is redefining what presidency is.
I think so.
Because
we also get a chance to get into his house when he's playing with his kids, over the Easter holidays. I was like, wow, this is the first time I'm seeing this part of the presidency.
He you know what? Formidably, he is the next, I don't know, the next level of Barack Obama. But I must say, I also thought that of Ramasise at some point.
Okay.
Because, I'm one person who I'm loyal to a fault.
Right.
And I'm loyal to a fault. Because, no, I really am.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing, right?
No, I don't think it is, and I should own up to it. Just because people are ditching you and people are like saying, Masisi, he had a lot of faults, but he also had a lot of positives.
Right.
And I, for one, loved certain aspects of who he was.
Right.
And I think Botswana, we sometimes, when we get mad with you for whatever reason, we throw out the baby with the bathwater. But the question is, when I only TKay, since we put our, I look Matlhogonolo na nthata maabane.
Right.
Meanong gompieno ha go tsena
It's changed.
Yeah, one change. I'm just saying.
Right.
So,
but isn't that what most human beings are like when it comes to people in high positions of power? You correct me if I'm wrong, right? We almost seem like we want to, booty leak when people are in power. As soon as they're out, you see the true and genuine friends that call themselves friends. Such that if the people that were there are not there anymore, you're easily able to say, it was just really because I had power. It happens with a lot of people that have money in Gap City. The people that call themselves friends.
Is there money in Gap City?
Yeah, it's a lot of money in Gap City.
Really?
Yeah.
Legitimate money?
I don't know about that.
Well, I don't know. I know I don't have money. I have a pretty high power job, but I don't think, and the reason why I'm saying this, just to interrupt you, I think a lot of us that are first generational.
Yes.
Wealth. I get it because in my family, I'm the first.
Yes.
And I hope I'm not the one and the only. You know what I mean? And if you really want to ensure that you're not the first, the one and the only.
And the only, yeah.
It means that you have to spend a lot of your money in ensuring that that legacy is built in that way. My brother.
I got you. But the real question is, just on that, we'll go back to everything that we keep hanging on the line. The real question is, are we ever able to live this life successfully without debt?
I think we are.
The number one problem of society right now is debt.
I think we are.
It's possible?
No, it is. Let me school you about something that I fundamentally believe. I believe your first generational successful person pays the penance.
Right.
And is the ultimate sacrificial lamb. And that's me. Right? And I believe then the next generation then plays, because you played forward. Because my parents, the reason why I can speak so well, and the reason why I'm so exposed, and the reason why I've been given so many opportunities in life is because my father, in his generation, he then decided, I'm going to cut a path that is very directional towards the education of my children. And he did, and hence why I exist. And then I then have to decide that what I went through, my kids are not going to go through. And my nieces and my nephews and whoever else is in my circumference is not going to go through. So it would mean that, and people can judge me, hey,
they do almost all the time.
Yeah, no, they can
Almost
burn. They
all the
can
time.
burn themselves on that judgment on a bride stand for all I care. No, honestly, I don't give a flying F. But the thing is, I am always going to be directionally pulled towards supporting my siblings,
Of course.
towards supporting those that I'm born with, towards supporting those that I believe in, towards supporting the society at large. I'm never going to be that person who walks into a restaurant and a waitress or a waiter is literally taking care of 20 of us. And then, got 200 pula. Like, what the F is that?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
It's like you have to look at the bill. I mean, if you're paying a bill of however much money, and I won't get into the bills that I have seen being paid, because I don't want to come across like I'm being ostentatious, because that's not the point. The point is, I will be gracious. I will look at the lady who's cleaning the toilet that I'm busy peeing in, and absolutely doing the number 2 in at points. Really, honestly, do you think it's easy for people to?
I really like you, Matty.
No, do you think it's easy for people to clean up your ish?
No,
you know what I mean?
It can't be.
No, it can't be. And so you have to dignify the person. Those people are parents.
Yeah.
Those people are CEOs in their homes. Those people are people that have babies, children, adults. I think on so many different levels. Going back, because I keep going back to what you asked me originally.
Right.
What I think makes the president very cool, and what makes Remo Gaye very cool, and what made Rema Sire very cool, is that these were individuals that stood up for society. I get a Rakhama Nanikelengwana, so I can speak on him. I can speak on the legacies. I can speak on Rakhama. He built a country.
Yes.
Because he did. He built a country.
Definitely.
He built a country for Botswana to become what it is. Get out of from what
major
what
input.
He built a country. But what I can tell you, my brother, is that I do think he is a very cool president because he's a human rights activist.
There we go. You see, I totally agree with you right there. I really do. Speaking of comparisons, right? There's a new regime. It's a new government altogether. Winds of change blew into the country, and they settled in. And I wondered, what would Matty think about what the government of former did wrong for there to be a change? Because obviously, I think there was a ball that was kind of let down, and it fell. And people are not in power anymore. What do you think the BDP did wrong? If they did anything wrong, anyway.
So.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I get it.
Hey.
Yeah, I get it. Listen, I think after a time, we all reach the parameters of our own understanding.
Like that.
I think, within any type of circumstance, be it a relationship which is familial, where it's like me and my husband and my kids.
Right.
We all I look at my mother. I look at my mother that I love.
Yeah.
To know I'm happy. And this mother who was a tiger when we were growing up. I mean, I remember when she used to come back from varsity because, my mother went to school most of my life.
Right.
And we were raised by my dad. And she'd be like, she wants the house to just smell of air. I'd be like, so it's like very cleaner with my siblings, and right now, my mother is like now a child.
Of course.
Because when your parents grow up,
Yeah.
they become your children, right?
Yes, yes.
And you then have to take but she's still very vociferously herself, because my mother will literally be looking at me on my second gin drink, because I drink gin and tonic.
Yeah.
It's a well-known
Beautiful drink.
Yeah. Well, there's only one kind of drink. Gordon's for that matter. Gordon's. I know people will be like, this and that. No, Gordon's. Gordon's is amazing, guys. Gordon's.
You know what?
Guys, let me tell you, there's no gin other than Gordon's.
You
can say what you want to say. The original, apparently the Queen of England used to drink like 1 tot of Gordon's every night before she went to
Wasn't
bed.
she into just tea? She wasn't into gin?
I don't know. I heard this. I don't know if it's true. I don't want to lay any kind of credibility onto it.
Look, if it's not Gordon's, it's gotta be Hendrix.
If it's not, you know what? What's her name? Indigecello.
Yes.
She said the only alternative to hip hop is silence. So I will tell you, the only alternative to gin is silence. But to Gordon's is silence.
Right.
Because and I'm saying this, I mean, making light of things, but I think in life we should accept that which we are, and that which because I can drink Gordon's when I'm off work and then get up in the morning and go to work. It works for me. But the point that I was trying to make, going back to your original point, we were talking about the question of the previous regime.
Like, what did
and
BDP
I was saying
do wrong? Yeah.
we reach the parameters of our understanding. I think the previous regime, they meant well.
They did.
Yeah, they meant well.
Yeah.
And like, listen, as I did in the first installation and episode, I have no issues with the previous regime.
Right.
Absolutely nada.
Right.
I actually am one of those people that, and I think, before I became a politically exposed person,
Of course.
I was partisan, and I was a BDP member. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, I was. And, I still think the BDP can rebirth if it wants to.
Yeah. I see Mr. Peña doing a lot on the ground lately.
Peña?
Butali.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But Peña Butali is not. Is he BDP?
Is he not?
He's AP. Yeah, he's AP. Yeah, he's AP.
Yes.
Yeah,
No, you're
AP,
right.
yeah.
You're right.
But my whole thing is, for the BDP to rebirth, it needs to rebirth. Because if you can change the person, you can change Matty, TKay.
Right.
I think the BDP, as long as it's still holding on to the old legacy and is still holding on to the people of old,
Right.
unfortunately, nobody's going to bite. I think people are just ready for change. And let me contextualize it.
Right.
Look at Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You look at the pyramid. Botswana, it's like results. Like, am I eating? Am I working? Am I...
Just your basic
Am I
needs.
your basic, at the very bottom of that hierarchy of needs, before you even get to the... Ghana, those hierarchy of needs are not even getting to the it, which is physical, the ego, which is mental, and the super ego, which is somewhat spiritual and philosophical.
You know when she does that, she's now getting in her element.
Well, I'm a I'm a psychologist. People forget. But the thing about it is, people just want real results. I think the BDP, as a party, reached the parameters of its own understanding. But that's not to say the people that were in the BDP are bad people.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
I'm never gonna, I know a lot of people within the BDP that I still respect up to today. And I will die respecting.
Right.
it would be so hypocritical of
Right,
me
right.
to actually be on this podcast and then claim, hey, UDC is like the newfound baby.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
You know, there's a lot of people that have done that.
Nah,
so
I
far.
wouldn't do that
Like
because my career was built under the BDP regime.
Right, right.
At least 4 presidents.
Right.
You have to understand, I was exco at a very young age. My career has been curated.
Yeah.
Not just through my hard work, because I think a lot of people work hard, but I think people went out of their way to really work and stand on my behalf. And I will pay
Very
the
important.
price.
Yeah.
I will pay the price if it's a price that I need to pay for my truth, but I'm never going to sit here and dismiss what, the previous regime has done for my supposed success. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
However, and I did say it in the last podcast, that it's not like if I find something that is unsavory about the previous regime, I cannot criticize. And I have.
You did say you've been very, very consistent.
Yeah.
With that position.
Yeah.
There's a thought around a shift in power nowadays, where you do not have power where it used to be. Power, I think you and I would agree that it used to be just in, the hands of a few people up there. Right? Power used to be just vested up there, but nowadays there's a shift, which I think goes now to give power to the people.
Yeah.
Such that whereas in the past you used to have people put people in pedestals, just like raise people on pedestals.
Yeah.
Now the shift, I think, is now that the same people would
100%.
put people in the positions.
I posted about it this morning.
Oh.
Yeah, I did actually this morning.
Really?
Well, I actually took somebody else's post.
Okay.
I reposted somebody else's post, so I was making that exact point.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but listening to you now, I'm thinking, look, there's a paradigm shift, where people are the ones that are making decisions, which means community-based ideas, community-based businesses, community-based government is what's going to succeed. Everything else outside of that, good luck.
It goes
right?
back to the basic needs.
Yes.
I mean, it's about how people feel, that level of connectedness, that level of, even as a leader.
Yes.
In any organization, people are going to relate to you at a very guttural point.
Right.
Like, does she or does he make decisions that affect my life in a positive manner? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, and it's natural. Like, why would you avow?
That's a good word.
Yeah.
You see, if you had a glass of wine, I'd be clink clink. I'd be clink clink.
Yeah.
Every drop that you make.
Except, I can't, because
I know.
everybody is. And already there are people that naturally want to characterize my personality against.
Don't worry about
that. No, I'm not worried. Trust me, I'm not worried. I don't give an F. I really don't. I'm just saying, I'm not gonna work into and walk into that narrative of myself. But you see, the thing is, what matters is how you make me feel.
True.
That's at the end of the day, TKay, the reason why you and I are sitting here is because you and I, we vibe. We just vibe, dude. I mean, if you were a total a-hole, and you were somebody who every single time I just feel like this guy is just full of shit, I wouldn't be here. No, honestly, why would I waste my time?
I needed to check my
and I think that's the majority of people. And I think what I love about this country, what I love about being a Botswana is the fact that we really were able to go to bed after people had voted, and we woke up the next morning, and the government had changed, and it was seamless. And the prior, the previous president, gracefully,
peacefully,
handed on the baton, and we moved on like nothing had happened.
It's the first time of its kind.
Listen, you know what? I am so privileged. I feel like I'm so privileged as a Botswana, to have been around in this time in history. The way I felt that morning was how I felt when Barack Obama became president.
Ooh, the vibrations in the whole world you could taste them.
Dude, I was working for Pepper, right?
Right.
public enterprise authority. Like I was working for Regalo Forolwe,
Amazing.
privatization agency, and Regale Forolwe, you know, Joshua Regale Forolwe, I mean, he's legendary. Look him up. Anybody who's watching this podcast, go look up Joshua Regale Forolwe.
Right.
You know, and Regale Forolwe was my CEO, and I literally went to work in my pajamas, my silk pajamas.
Is that right?
They didn't look like pajamas, but they were pajamas.
They were pajamas,
yeah.
right.
And, you know, I had a little bit of makeup on and I showered, you know. Yeah. Showered.
Throw it on.
Yeah, because I spent the whole night, like, just, you know, amping on this whole campaign because I followed... because I'm American educated, and
I know.
yeah, and
I
a lot
know.
of people scoff at American education, but yeah, I'm American educated. No, I know the people that went to school in Europe or the UK. They're like, yeah, the UK education system is better than the American.
The
one.
US, yeah.
I don't know. You know, it's about what you want out of an experience, right? And I will not be that person who says and downs the UK experience, but. All I remember is like I went to work and I said to Regale Forolwe, hey, Uncle, I call him Uncle Josh,
Yeah.
Uncle Josh.
Yeah.
You know, Barack Obama, like there's a black man in the
Yep.
White House.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
My president is black.
Yeah. And I mean, but this guy, I mean, he went to Princeton, he went to Harvard.
Yep.
You know, lived in Hawaii, lived in Indonesia. You know, comes from a legacy of.
Those are nice nails, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't see them early on.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you want to show the camera? Hey, camera, vibe
No,
check. Okay.
I'm not showing the camera.
Okay,
my
my
nails.
bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's about my intellect.
As you wear.
Everything else is a suit. Everything else is a suit. I'm supposed to have nice.
You're not
nails.
giving me anything today, are you?
No, I'm not gonna let you go easy. But you're drinking red wine.
I got you.
But I still love you.
Yeah.
But you know, so I went in and I was like, Uncle Josh, like, you know, like I mean, because you know, throughout his from the Democratic Congress,
Yes.
where he first gave that speech, to how I saw him curate and. Barack Obama, for me, and I say this with all seriousness, and I say this to all professionals, he exemplifies how you can curate a career. You know what I mean? How you can, with intention,
Right.
you know, curate a career. And I learned a lot from that journey
Yeah.
because I followed it so closely. And I want to tell you, I just loved and I still love everything about Barack Obama.
Yeah.
You know, like Barack Obama is one of those men that if I saw physically, I would jump, be like, babe, I love you, but for 5 minutes, can I just forget about
You know, Michelle is going to have a...
yeah, but you know what? Michelle will have to forgive me, but I have a feeling that Michelle and I would quite get along.
Ooh, speaking of Michelle and Barack, have you heard the rumors?
What rumors?
Oh, Matty, it's not looking good in that household.
Yeah, but they'll sort it out.
You think?
Yeah, I think they'll sort it out.
Because apparently they're being seen in public places separately. This gentleman is going to a basketball game. She's not there. She's over at the podcast because she's recently just opened and started a podcast. She's also just saying a lot of not devastatingly negative, but you can pick a few nuances here and there. So the rumors, obviously, when people listen to these things, they're like, "Oh my God, is there going to be a divorce between Michelle and Barack?" That would hurt you, right?
Gutturally. Gutturally, yeah. Like, I love her, man, but I don't love her, man, so much that I want him for myself to her absence, you know.
Yeah.
Listen, marriages go through a lot.
Of course.
I'm married, and I can tell you for free that, wherever they are, whatever dark hole they're in, some of us have been in and surfaced from. I think a lot of people have. It would be regrettable.
It would.
Yeah,
it would be
regrettable. It would be regrettable because he did not just become president of the United States of America of his own cognizance. No. That woman stood by his side, and he stood by her as well. The one thing that I will tell you is that I didn't get that book that she wrote, Becoming. I can't read it. I don't think it's literature. I love Michelle Obama. I love Michelle Obama.
Why didn't you read it?
I couldn't read it. It wasn't literature. It just didn't make sense to me.
Oh.
I'm a bit of a bibliophile. You know, I collect first edition books,
Yeah.
and I'm a bit of a reader.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit of an intellectual snob to some extent.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it was worth it. I felt like it was somebody personifying her voice, not in her voice. I would read a book that she actually wrote. I don't think, and this, by the way, because it's a podcast.
They're gonna come at you.
I
They're gonna
don't
come
want
at
to
you.
be sued. I
It's
don't want to
so-
be sued.
it's sold a
You
mid-
know,
it's
like
sold
Kendrick
over-
Lamar. Like Kendrick Lamar, you know, I want to be careful. I don't want to be sued. You know, I don't want to be sued. But I try to read Becoming. I mean, to a lot of people, and a lot of people that I guess, you know, it appealed to them. But for me, as somebody who's quite an avid reader, it just didn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
And maybe she really did write it, and maybe that is her story. But I feel like she's got such a rich and intense story, and I think she's such a powerful being. I think
Powerful.
Michelle Obama
Yeah.
has to be one of my favorite human beings in the world, right?
Do you think she should be, or she could consider becoming the next female presidential candidate?
I think Michelle Obama could easily be the next president.
She could, yeah.
But I don't think, you know, I think it would kind of dishearten me where she then does something that's typical. I think it would be typical, you know. But that's my. But if she ran for office, I would very much be in support of her. I think she'd be very, very good at that. I think Michelle Obama is
amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing.
New president, very charismatic, one of the coolest we've ever had. A few challenges here and there, because when we started, I was asking you what the BDP, in your opinion, you feel they did wrong, and I think you've covered that quite well. But what I need to have a conversation with you about now is...
I don't remember having an opinion about that. Well,
No?
yeah, I covered it quite well by evading the question. Yeah,
I mean, you do that very well. You know, you talk about parameters, they reach parameters. I'm like,
of course.
sure, Matty.
I mean, I wouldn't be where I am if I did not know how to answer such questions. Yeah.
I mean, your HR and PR, they're pretty much the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
But I want to talk about, like, with the new government and a few challenges that have come, what do you feel they have to do to ensure that this administration is a successful one? The president has recently come out and said, look, when I am done, B-Dub, being Botswana, is going to be at a very, very amazing position when I'm done. But you have to agree that when they got in, things were a bit shaky. I'm talking about the electricity. We had power cuts, obviously owed to the Morupule plant as well, but a few issues that then became political. The current government says, oh, no, you know what? The former guys didn't do a great job. We just arrived, you know? And the former guys are also sitting wherever they are, and they're saying, look, when we were there, there were no power cuts. Things were running smoothly, right? So I had power cuts. They are having challenges. What do you make of the situation now as it stands, with a few challenges that they have faced? And what do they need to do to ensure that, look, they need to be a successful government going forward?
Listen, I mean, you can prioritize what you prioritize when you are the president of a country, right?
Right.
Yeah. And what you prioritize is what will be made a priority. And it will carve the niche as to the legacy.
Yes.
Because once you get to a certain strata of society, like once you are at a certain level of operation, where your decisions have significant impact on the lives of many, the truth of the matter is what you prioritize will outlive you.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's a loaded statement, Matty.
I'm answering you, and people that hear will hear me.
Yeah.
Listen, you know, the Chinese, there's a very beautiful quote by the Chinese that I love so much, which speaks to you should plant the trees, you know, in your lifetime. Like in your lifetime, plant the trees whose shade you might never sit under.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You understand?
Oh.
So these guys are inheriting legacy issues
Yes.
based on the prioritization of a previous government. That government also inherited
From another
issues
government.
From another government.
Yeah.
So we can sit here all day and point fingers at each other and castigate each other. And for me, I don't want to sit here and do that because, you know, at an individual level, at a very individual and guttural level, I have benefited. You know, I'm going to sit on your podcast and tell you I've benefited from being a child of the soil and being a child of the system.
Yeah.
And I would want to believe that for me, it's not about a political system. It's about a system that is called Botswana. Because Mina, I've always worked hard, man. I put in the work.
You do.
I'm a person of excellence. I show up. And you can choose to like me. You can choose to like disregard me. You can choose to try and ignore me. Yeah, but the meat of the matter is I always stand on the right side of history, at least in my opinion, in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And, you know, I will be judged not only by history, I'll be judged by time.
Right.
You know, what I can tell you is that I don't think anybody gets into that role of becoming a president of a country and has the playbook.
No.
I don't think so, you know. And I don't think anybody even gets into like a role of being, for instance, MD of a company, whatever company, and has the playbook. And
It's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible. I think I see myself, you know, every single day where I can wake up and have a very strong opinion about a decision that I'm making around a particular issue.
Yeah.
And then one of the people that I work with then presents an ulterior viewpoint based on one experience, based on history, or even just based on knowledge. You know what I mean?
Research, or even
research,
Yeah,
you know, and I realized like I go to ki tiger ka matha me a ke mathe mo go kalo go like gona batho ba bang gaisang ka bothale.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What?
Man.
Nah, you lying.
I swear to God. I swear to God. Like, you know, the thing about being a leader is that, let's go back to understanding the parameters of your own understanding.
Yes,
You also have to be able to be humble enough to know you don't know it all. Dude, I personally, the way I'm passionate, and I'm very passionate. I'm very extremely passionate. I'll be in freaking jail right now. Wait, no, for some of the people that were junior to myself that have actually said, no, mate, we're not going to do that. In the same way that my husband will say to me, no, we're not going to do that.
No, you're not spending that.
Yeah. No, you're not doing that.
Yeah, we're not spending that.
Yeah, we're not spending that, you know. And so I think you need to, as a person, have a teachable spirit.
Yeah.
You know, and you need to be a person who listens.
Yeah.
Like, Mina, in as much as I blab and I talk, but I listen.
I like that about you.
Yeah.
I like that. The last time we were here, you were telling me you're 49 years old, and it's been a year already.
I'm 50.
How was the big 50?
Turning 51.
Oh.
I actually did
What
not.
did you do, man? Because it's 50.
Yeah, I'm actually turning 51 in May, 3rd of May this year.
Yeah, but let's talk about the 50th. What did you get up to?
I didn't do anything.
For your 50th?
I did not do anything. So I planned on doing something.
Right.
Then one of my brothers got awfully sick.
Man.
He ended up in hospital.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, he couldn't walk. He couldn't talk.
What?
Yeah, so I was there for him.
Yeah.
And you know, in fact, I mean, what is the best gift you can give to yourself? Is it not saving your mother's child?
Yeah.
So
you were able to do that, but right after that, your brother's well. Was there no other plan to celebrate your 50th?
it becomes less material. Hey?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it becomes less material because I think you kind of IQ in my soul to God, and I was turning 50, and I was really gonna have like a blowout in good hope, but I was gonna do it in good hope. So anybody who wanted to,
I was
be
definitely
going to
be part of that,
yeah,
right?
of course,
Yeah, I was
of
out
course.
of-
Well, people that were not even invited, there was no invitation. It was like my wedding. You know, when I got married,
Yeah.
I literally got married in Good Hope, where I'm from.
Okay.
And there were no invitations. I got married on a Friday because my mom is Adventist, and I grew up in the Adventist movement. Though I'm not religious any longer,
We need
but
to talk about
but
that.
yeah,
We need to talk about
but
that.
I still go to church. Whichever church serves my purpose. At a particular point in time. You know me. I mean, I curate my life. Dude, don't laugh.
The church has got to serve
Yeah,
you.
my mom is going to watch this podcast.
You know what's
TKay.
funny? You say this the first time. It's like, my mom is going
My mom is going to watch this.
You know, I never shouted out to your mom. Shout out to your mom.
Yeah,
you
dude,
know,
oh
you
my
gave
God.
birth to a real one. You really did. You really did.
Yeah, man. So, dude, I mean, literally, I turned 50,
Yeah.
and one of my siblings got really ill.
I'm sorry.
And no, you know what? It is what it is.
So,
you know what I mean?
Mr. Pete definitely needed to have done something after that.
But he does it every day. You know, I don't have a Valentine's husband.
Okay.
I must say.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Hands
Click, click. Shh, Matty, shut up.
Just say, you know.
But what-
Tapelo Solo has a daughter. Tapelo Solo, my friend.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Tapelo Solo is
I
a very
do,
good friend.
I do.
He has a daughter, and she's called Cartier. I'm like, yeah, I live with Cartier every day.
And you wear some of that cards.
Yeah, no, we live with Cartier every day. But I mean, and the daughter is as beautiful as Cartier.
Amazing.
Yeah, like,
But with 50 years, there's a shift right there that comes with perspective, right? Do you think you're able to tell me a little bit of a few shifts that came with you knowing? I don't know if innately you're able to feel certain philosophical changes or gravitations towards new different things.
I think you are. When
Yeah?
you say TKay.
Yeah?
I think you are. I think what happened with me is that, and I don't even think it was about 50. It was almost like a movement towards becoming. As Michelle
Don't
Obama
say that.
said.
No, you did.
Yeah, that ill-written book.
no.
Yeah, but I love the name, becoming, and the sentiment. Because I get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this is not about like Michelle Obama. I'm talking about whoever wrote the book.
I
Because
understand.
I doubt it was her. Because if she wrote that book, it would be so much more better written. That's my sentiment, and I'm gonna stick
Are
to
you
it.
listening to this?
Yeah, they can sue me.
Right.
But and I'm not even saying Michelle Obama did not write the book from a place where she can sue me. I'm saying I feel like the voice was not authentically hers.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's my opinion.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
And you can't sue an opinion.
I think the last time I checked, freedom of speech is still a thing, right?
You can't sue an opinion.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing is, dude, I always call you dude or friend, and I forget, you're my brother.
Yeah.
You are my brother. My brother, like the thing is, you get to a point in your life where you've gone through so much. You've been, like if you're me, I've been subjugated so much, and I've been judged so much, and I've been labeled so much. No, and I say this without even trying to be a victim.
Right,
I really don't care.
Right.
But at the moment when it happens, I do care. I don't care now after the fact.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean? Yeah, man, the level of pain, that you go through when you're constantly judged and you're constantly maligned. It fortifies you. You know what I mean? It fortifies you.
I've been seeing a lot of your posts from even as far back as 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they are recurrent.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific or particular that's happening in your life that's subjugation or
No,
alignment?
I think I feel, because I'm so fortified, I feel, what's happened to me? I've become so liberated.
Right.
And when people thought they were caging me, they created a beast out of me, but not a beast who's like out like like
Right.
fighting, but a beast who's like
It's like resilient.
and so self-assured, so self-assured and so peaceful, and in my truth and in my not just my ability to express myself, but just my ability to really look at a person like, yo, do you know the journey thus far? I've gone through experiences
Yeah.
that I would not wish on anyone.
Yeah.
I have gone where angels fear to tread, and you have the benefit of sunglasses, so people will see your tears.
I know.
And I know
And I
you're
was about to
tearing
talk
up.
about it. I was about to talk about it.
You're
Like,
tearing
why
up.
am I tearing
You're
and you're tearing up?
Yeah, I'm tearing up because, yeah, man, I've paid, for this supposed success. And the thing is, I wouldn't change the journey, Joe, though. I wouldn't, and don't edit this out, I would not change the journey because I think it's such a fundamental part of people understanding
Yeah.
that you are just not gonna walk into, a level of supposed success and not pay penance. But where I become somewhat curious, I
Yeah.
think that's the word, curious, yeah.
Yeah.
Curious is when I meet.
Yeah, you can walk in. You can walk in. It's
Yeah,
fine.
you
It's
can
fine.
walk in,
It's fine.
yeah. I meet women. Thanks, Lungo. Lungo Rakola. She's
Shout out,
one
Lungo.
of my. Shout out to Lungo. She's one of my mentees from the TGM program. I mean, it's when I meet people that have done very well for themselves and they like to be the first, and the one, and the only.
Alpha and Omega.
Yeah, Alpha and Omega. And I'm just like, nah, that's crazy. You cannot go through this pain that us pioneers, within our generation have had to go through and wish it on anyone else. You cannot want anyone else. Like, I believe that what I've gone through is penance enough so that my children, like when Meghan Markle was, going into the royal family.
Royal family.
Yeah.
It was a hard time.
Yeah, and I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. But it's like, what was she so surprised about? What did you expect? As Chris Rock said. And for me, if you're gonna be a woman who's walking into places and stages and assuming stages that very few like yourself, I mean, not only am I just black, female,
Yeah.
I'm cross-eyed.
Yeah.
I'm on the lower side of the autistic spectrum.
Okay.
Maybe some people consider me crass because I'm so outspoken. I'm not everybody's, pot of soup, Nor do I want to be. Dude, let me tell you something. I think I'm at a point in my life where it's not even about turning 50. I'm at a point in my life where I feel that I have stepped on the burnt and red ashes, and I have paid the price to be able to say to any girl child who's out there who is in doubt of themselves that, listen, you'll be 50 and you'll still be crying about that shit.
Right.
You're going to be 50 and you're still going to be crying about this ish. And you're still not crying as a result of not having overcome it,
Right.
but crying because you wish others after you don't have to go through it.
Matthew, what did you go through? I like the generalization, it's fine, but I really want to tap into your soul, man.
I can't get into the detail. I mean, read my books. That's why I'm going to write books. You know,
Okay.
I'm going to write books that are going to be very detailed.
Yeah.
Right now, I've signed NDAs.
Okay.
Yeah, right now, I work in corporate. Yeah,
So the pain,
but I've seen it all.
The pain that you still feel now, after all these many years, what's the actual source? The fact that you went through it, or the fact that it happened to you?
Well, I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah, even when I asked it, I was
You're
like,
being a lawyer. The fact that you went through it, or the fact that it happened to you. Yeah, English. Yeah, you guys that speak Latin.
No, I mean,
no, it's okay. But I mean, and you should put this in this, because I want this to be illustrated that I questioned your usage.
Yeah, I mean,
of the English language.
Even when I asked it, I was like, wait, what do I even mean? But there was there's a difference between what you think in your brain and what comes
I didn't
out.
imagine it, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't imagine it. I did not wake up in the morning and imagined this reality. I lived it, you know, for years. I mean, throughout my career.
Yeah.
Listen, I have been, and you know what?
Yeah.
I will say I've been hugely privileged,
Yeah.
because I was exco at a very, very early age in my life. I've always been one of these people. I know, and I think to a point where some people resent it, because some people are like, "Why her all the time?" I remember one time they'd posted about me. I think BW Gov had posted about me as it's a woman of worth or whatever. So this other person, she was like, but tell me, how and I could relate, you know. If I wasn't me, I would hate me as well.
Right.
You know, I would
like, why her only?
Why her all the time, you know. But I put in the work. I've ran like coaching and mentoring programs. I have gone out of my way to really expose the people that I know to the things that I am exposed to.
Yeah.
I continue to, I mean, it's a Friday, dude. You know, most people are like either sleeping or doing something else. I'm like recording a podcast, and I'm doing it for free.
And having a good time.
Yeah, having a good time. I'm doing it for free with you know,
yeah.
because I believe in what you're doing. I believe in the sentiment. I believe that people should see this rawness. To answer your question, though, because you asked me a very direct question, I went through it. And what I went through was where typically, you know, people that look like me, that are me, should not be where I am. I remember one time somebody shared a story with me where this person who was part of the recruitment process of me joining DBS
right.
said to me that somebody called her and said to her, "Oh, even people like Bometi,
Wow.
Bometi,
Wow.
Bometi, Matlhogonolo, kalenyatso, you know, Botswana ba nyatsana,
Yeah, for sure.
It's sad, and I say it with a sneer on my face to personify the ugliness of it, you know, but it's like, yo. And even people like Bometi, baka berekela di beers, metile mang, like.
Does that make?
But no, that didn't hurt me. That didn't hurt me. It was just instructive, and it only fortified my resolve in showing them that,
I was about to ask.
Not only am I going to work for DBS, I'm going to kill it. You know, I got it as a vice president, and 4 months later, I was made an SVP, dude. What about promoting like more probation? Yeah, no. People need to know, you know, because batho ba nyatsana kore nna ga nke ke kopana lope ebe ke assume kore gompieno TKay, you and I, in as much as we're siblings, in terms of how we relate
with each other.
I ka re ka moso kopana le wena o tsamaya ka Ferrari be ke re le TKay o tsamaya ka Ferrari
Bo TKay.
TKay wa TKay kana o tsamaya re bile TKay wa TKay you know, like I there's an artist that I love. You know, I love Scar.
Yep.
You know, I love Scar.
Shout out Scar. That's my brother.
I love Scar. You know, my people. I love Scar. And one of the things that I love Scar is that very early when I came back from the US, I think it was Idols.
Yep.
You know, Africa Idols, and Scar was on Africa Idols, and Scar was judging Africa Idols, and he was young as
Yeah.
anything, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but he still kept his composure. I think Scar, he's also just somebody who has so much wealth,
Yes.
you know, as
Yes.
a backbone, you
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yes.
And I love people that don't love Scar.
I was about to ask, like, you know,
I love people that
there's-
don't love Scar, but
there's-
I love Scar. And I love those people as well.
As
You know
well,
what I
yeah,
mean? Yeah, I
yeah,
love
yeah.
those people as well. But the thing is, with me, you know, I will always look at every single individual of their own merits and cognizance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So can people just judge us on the basis of what we've done?
Of course.
You know
of
what I mean?
course. Of course.
Yeah,
The merits.
you know,
It needs to
the
be
merits.
meritocracy.
Hey,
yeah.
don't judge us on the basis of what you hear about us. Don't judge us on the basis of what it is that people tell you about us.
TKay, Matty.
Don't judge us on the basis that I'm holding a cigarette or I'm
Right.
drinking alcohol. Like, listen, there's a life that I have outside of the work.
Of course.
But I can tell you, hand on heart, show me one single Botswana who has done as much as many Botswana that are nameless. Got to forget about Matlhogonolo Mponang. There are many nameless Botswana whose names are not even here.
Yeah,
Ba ba
yeah.
diretseng lefatshe la Botswana.
Of course.
Ba e leng gore ga ba neela dinaledi tsa Botswana. So this thing e dinaledi tsa Botswana, it should go back to neelang batho dinaledi tsa Botswana ba ba diretseng lefatshe la Botswana. Batho ba ba hetotseng matshelo a Batswana. People that have changed lives.
Yes.
Impact. Everything should be impact analysis, and everything should be about that. And I'm not talking about me.
No, I get that. I get that.
Because there are so many people. I'm very good at curating my career. I'm very good at branding of self. Clearly, you know what I mean. That's why I'm wearing that's why I have all this makeup on and the wig on, and I'm having this conversation. But there's another woman who is literally saving lives
Yeah.
somewhere in some village.
Speaking of saving lives, right? Oh, I'm so glad you walked onto that. Oh, you walked into it, Matty. I am
did.
telling you.
As I often do with you.
As you always do. So I saw one of your posts on Facebook. You posted a lot of stuff on Facebook, by the way. And thank you so much. You make my job very, very easy, you know. But I was very, very interested in this post, and it's concerning the current situation with the doctors, their remuneration, as well as their conditions of employment, rather. The essence of your post, in my opinion, was you can do your job while you pursue your rights, right? And I think you also meant to say that some professions do not have the luxury of tooling down, because there's a difference between a job and a calling. And the latter would entail that even if you do not agree with a lot of conditions of employment that you're subdued to, you still have an obligation to save lives. And this is on the backdrop of the statement saving life, right? So I wanna get into that, Matty. I wanna get into that thought because, like I said, you disrupt a lot of status quo as far as thinking is concerned. While most of B-Dub is saying, yeah, you know what, they're rights, which is what you agree with, right? You also have to put now a little bit of a tweak into the thinking and say, hey, look, while I agree with these guys, how about we look at things this way? Please let me know. Let me into your crazy mind and your crazy thinking, because I was mind blown, just to say the least. I really was.
You know what? Let me categorically state.
Yeah.
For the record, and I hope you have this in the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Public service employees, like you'll find, let's start with teachers.
Yes.
You'll find a situation where teachers are living in a house. And there are 2 or 3 people in a 2-bedroom house. And they've got families, you'll find a situation where kids are sleeping on mattresses where the springers are going to give them back problems. They might not experience them in their youth, but they will
eventually,
later on in life. you'll find like doctors in Botswana are overworked. They're overworked. Go to these guys, they go to work. Go to Motwateng house what they wrong. They go home and they sleep for a few hours and then they then have to go back to work.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I need to say this. What my post was not so much like I don't agree with how you feel.
I saw that.
Get it.
Yeah,
I
you
get
made it very clear.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Go to like, let me tell you, like the working conditions of health workers in Botswana. You know, people always say to me, nurses are so rude or health workers are so rude. I'm like, hey, do you know what these people go through? I remember when I was interning, you know, one time because I studied psychology.
Yeah.
And I was in the public health system, and you'd be go Marina, we'd be called we need to go. I get it because they wanted to teach us how to counsel or do therapy.
Right.
A patient, we tell her that patient that patient as mobile.
Whoa.
You know, the doctors in Botswana, what they see, and then particularly now I'm talking about urban doctors like Keleko Marina.
Yes.
But one would hazard a guess, like if it's a district, the ratio of those doctors next to
The patient.
the patients and against what they can prescribe as medicine and what is available and what is there. And, you know, I put out a post which people did not really pay attention to. I said, you know, the success of this government is in what they do with the public education system and the public health system.
Right.
Because I opine
There you go.
that any society that is meant to progress and evolve beyond itself, going back to Tara, the trees that we plant in our lifetimes, we don't need to sit under that shade.
No. It's for the next generation.
It's for the next generation. These doctors have seen the most, eh? I absolutely 100%, without apology, get where they're coming from.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, with your set of skills and your hands, right? And it's already been quite clear that I can be quite an emotive creature. If somebody's dying, are you not going to save them because of how you're being treated? And I think that level of emotion can show you that, you know, nobody has been let out easily, you know, from this grab. But I hope my post was not read for God. I hope people did not understand my post to be saying I'm anti the messaging of the doctors. I am very much in concert with them and very much in support of where they're coming from. But it's like, yeah, it's rough, rough.
Yeah, yes, very.
But kurafu with everybody. And I can't say that because I'm heavily privileged, you know. And like I said in your first podcast, heavily privileged, I don't mean I'm wealthy. I just mean
access.
Yeah, I've got access, you know.
Yeah.
And I've got people kept saying in the first podcast that I did with you, modicum, I've got a modicum of power. But you know, the thing is though, and I need to say this decidedly, and I hope you include this, is the thing is, I literally look at society from a place of that which I'm compassionate about. Like, I would not, like, dude, there are days where literally I get into the office and I've got a technical assistant, I've got an executive assistant, I've got, like, people that report into my portfolio and they're telling me about all these things. Like yesterday, as a matter of fact, and this guy who works for me in my department, and he's such an exceptional human being,
Right.
and such an exceptional professional as well, because you can be an exceptional human being but not be an exceptional professional, or you can be an exceptional professional but
But,
not be an exceptional
maybe not a great human being.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's both, and his wife passed away.
Oh, shame.
And I remember meeting the wife
Yeah.
one time at Clicks, and Clicks go joining, because
Alright.
the Clicks in joining has everything. That's the best Clicks, by the
We'll
way.
be sending you invoices for this
Yeah.
advertisement and marketing.
The Clicks go joining is the best Clicks.
Yeah.
And so I meet this woman, and she's hugging me, and she's just telling me about how much she appreciates me and what I've done for the husband. And yesterday I heard this woman is late,
shame, man.
or deceased.
Right.
And, just having to call the husband was very difficult, but I called him. And this is such an exceptional, like I said, human being and professional. Yeah.
Right.
So let's go back to the doctors.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's go back to what you asked me. I get it. This is my long-winded
I know.
way.
I know. We appreciate the long-winded.
Of
answers,
getting
though.
back. I always have to build a narrative around my point. I think, TKay, my whole thing is like, it's about the covenant, like marriage. It's a covenant, you
Right.
know.
Sickness and health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think though, because if you notice, there was a doctor who responded to that, Dr. Wada
Yes.
Huitemang,
Yes.
and I respect her greatly. And she laid it out, and I said to her, you should actually write, because she writes very well. She laid it out very, very well.
Yeah.
And everything that she said is true.
Right.
So I don't want to be one of these patriarchy. I get it, we call people patriarchy princesses. I don't want to be one of these anti-rights princesses.
Right.
Because now I get I have no reason. I give this from this government.
Yeah.
I give this from anybody. Mine is written in the stars.
Yeah.
What I can tell you as a matter of fact is I felt her pain in response. And she was not even responding to my perspective from Metika Huateka.
Right.
But isn't that the beauty of Botswana, though? Isn't the beauty of Botswana the fact that we can be divergent in viewpoint and agree? Because and we weren't even divergent. It's just that we're expressing ourselves in divergent
I like
ways.
that. I like that. Yeah.
And what I can tell you is I felt the pain and I understood her. And I hope that my post did not in any way, shape, or form diminish or take away
from the cause.
From the cause
Right,
and from the, because that is a pain and a cause that I very much understood.
Of course.
I understand. Good, now all I'm saying is that I'm imagining Mangwanu, who is, schizophrenic, all of my, all I was saying, and the point that I was making was like, I hear you 100%.
I understand you. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
But you are critical. Those guys, they...
Is there any other profession? Let's ballpark it a little bit. Is there any other profession that would be equal to the doctors who, even if they have to pursue their rights and complain about this, they'd still have to work and not tools down? Any such profession? I don't see it. It would almost seem like they are the only ones who are plagued with.
Unfairly so.
Yeah.
And the irony is that they're the ones that have to study the hardest. They're the ones that stay the longest in school.
Yes.
They're the ones that are the lowliest paid. You look at freaking investment bankers. Now, let me get on that.
Okay.
Let me get on that.
Let's hear about this.
Freaking investment bankers that, the investment bankers that literally, that level of intellectual cerebrum cannot contain me for 3 seconds. Yeah, right? And they make a lot of money.
Right.
I've met bankers that are very intelligent, like you know, your Aupamunyatsi.
Shout out.
Yeah, Aupamunyatsi, your Chose.
Ooh.
Stanbic. I love.
Yeah.
You know what I love about the CEO of Stanbic.
Yes.
Chose. This guy, he came into a boardroom at Botswana one time, and I was there, and he introduced his team. He greeted, in fact. He didn't even introduce them. He greeted, and he allowed them to introduce themselves.
Wow.
And then he allowed them to present. You know how much grace
That takes
you
a
need
lot
to
of
have
aura.
as a leader.
That's a lot of aura right there. That's a lot of aura right there.
Dude, I think it's a, you know, and no offense to his wife, but it's the sexiest thing I've ever seen alive. You know what I mean?
Matty, no offense to the first lady, because we did say sexy coolest president.
Yeah.
Now we're moving on.
Yeah, well, I mean,
if the
it's
shoe
compliments.
fits.
I mean, the compliments to them as well.
Yeah, of
because I mean,
course.
if you're able to bag him, surely there must be something to you. I mean, he came across a few fruities,
And he's like, that one
yeah,
right
but
there.
he's like, this one, putting a ring on it. But I love how, on a serious note, jokes aside, like how you just come across these beautiful, you know, souls of Africa, and Echose, he's amongst them, and he comes in with a whole executive team of young people.
Yeah.
You know,
Big congratulations to
Young
them
people,
for the Stanbic Music and Lifestyle Festival.
absolutely,
Huge congratulations.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But he comes in with them, Abana TKay, and they present. Gore enoho, gore wa dumedisa gore dumela Mponang Remutsumi. I get Remutsumi.
Yes.
Remutsumi is my MD.
Yes.
Mponang and this guy Remudubule is our acting CFO, and you know, and he has this lineup of brilliant Botswana, and I'm like, hi-wo.
Yep.
You know, and he just watches and is comfortable and he's settled and he's calm. He's considered, he's measured, he knows what they got it. Good, I think for me, that is a stuff of leadership, that is a stuff of a legacy, that is a stuff of, that's why I wake up every day. You know what I mean? And so, going back to what we were originally talking about, because you know, I will always take you back.
I know.
Yeah,
and I just love it about you.
I always take you back. I think with the doctors that I hear, it's never about, you know, the post was never about riding them rough.
For sure.
You know, but it was definitely about a different element, because you saw me break down earlier on.
And you did it so perfectly. Guys, go check her Facebook post about the doctors. It's elevators.
The covenant.
The covenant.
The covenant.
I do agree with you. I will say this, with the difference between a job and a calling. Yeah, the latter there,
and
it
that
means a
doctors
lot.
that will feel like it's a job, like any other job. And you know, I profess it's a calling, but I mean, who am I to talk about whether it's a calling or it's a job for doctors? I think for me, what I do for a living is definitely a calling.
It's a calling.
Yeah, it's definitely a calling.
You were also given a few examples of where things were not right. You're not getting paid a lot of money, but you still had to do it because it wasn't a job for you. It was a calling.
I can tell you.
Yeah,
I can tell you.
You're
It's about
earning,
equity and parity.
Earning less than 2,000 pula at some point.
Yeah. I didn't even qualify for tax. Honestly, I mean, the government of Botswana was not even bothered with asking me to pay tax. When I
like
first started working.
you're earning too little.
Yeah, I know. They're like, keep your money, keep your grub. Baby girl, keep your grub.
Keep your grub.
Yeah, keep your grub.
Hold on to you.
We feel sorry for you because we don't want you to be a liability, So we sort of get talk with me like, I swear.
Oh my God.
No, but I did. I remember when I worked for HS, Institute of Health Sciences.
Right.
I mean, there are people that will watch this, that will attest to this, that were my students.
Currently, right?
Yeah, like literally I did. Kind of sometimes when I say these things, people think I'm lying. Well, those people that don't want to believe in the humanity of greatness. But I mean, I worked there, and all I remember is that was Scottish Livingston, HS Molepolle, right? Scottish Livingston, at the time, it was built with asbestos, dude, and the windows were broken down. I'd be wearing like a winter coat that I would wear in the thick of snow, like in North America. Como Molepolle.
Right. Shut up my lips.
I swear, you could hear the wind howling through those windows. And the next thing, they will give you some but it's an institution of higher learning.
Right.
So my black ass showed up and thought, like working in an institution of higher learning. I'm a lecturer. And meantime I get there and I find her actually the lecture's like assistant lecturer. I'm like, okay, but still, assistant lecturer. I get if you're an assistant lecturer, you're an assistant, you're a lecturer and wait.
Yeah.
Anyway. I know. Those delusions of grandeur were very diluted.
Illusions of grandeur, very diluted.
Delusions of grandeur were very diluted in the shortest time possible. Dude.
Oh my goodness. So it would only take a person who views what they're doing as a calling to be able to, to navigate in there.
Dude, give me I imagine this. I have a BSc in psychology, but I don't have a master's degree in psychology. No, but I don't have a master's degree in psychology.
Yeah, I
never finished my master's. I started it.
Okay.
But I never did because, of personal reasons that I would not want to go into.
That's episode 3, by the way.
Yeah,
it's coming.
that's episode 3.
It's coming.
So, anyway, my person, I'm there and I'm reporting to a nurse, and this lady is telling me, who's working? Korean banaba. I get it, I'm coming from the US. I swear, as God is my witness. I trust me.
It's what they would almost say about the president when he's giving his speech in the deepest English that he does.
No, they were not even talking about the vocabulary, just the accents.
Right.
I could have fresh off the boat or the plane, and maybe the plane that Texas, that parents Texas paid for. And they're like, nah, I don't your accent is so thick. And I was not even, but you see, it was also shaping. At the time when I was going through it, I thought it was funny.
Right.
But then I began to shape myself back to form, back to settings. But what people don't understand is that you get to the US and you're like, I would like a hamburger. And they're like, what?
What?
What do you want? And they're like, what? Oh, you want a burger? So after a while, you start to say, you are acculturated to say, I want a burger.
Yeah.
You say, you had a 7-Eleven, and you say, I'd like a crusher. And you say, I'd like a crusher. I get almost one. I'd like a crusher. Oh, I get a crusher. Right? What? You're like, oh, you want a crusher? And after a while, you start to say, I want a crusher. You know what I mean? And then you come back home and then you're on some, I want a crusher. Well, you want a what? Hey, I want a crusher. So you have to go back. Honestly, it's people don't understand.
So you're back to settings in both settings.
Hey, and you have to understand nobody's at fault. We are the only people that are not faulting people.
Right,
People
right.
are faulting us. You know, even up to today, I literally have understood, and this I will say very specifically. I report to somebody that I absolutely have a lot of time for.
Yeah,
At this
yeah.
point in our journey,
Yeah.
let me say, at some point I didn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think he had a lot of time for me as well at some
Yeah,
points. But
yeah.
at this point in time in history, I have a lot of time and respect for him.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah, because we got to. Sometimes we meet people, and we misunderstand people, and people only react to what energy you give them.
Of
you
course,
know,
of
like
course.
and I want to specifically say as a shout out to my current boss, Jorge, and because he never do a podcast.
Who is your current boss?
Remutsu, Ndrumutsu. Yeah.
Shout
yeah,
out, shout out,
yeah,
shout out.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Please give us a job at the podcast.
Absolutely love working with him right
You
now.
see, are you listening to me? Busy.
Yeah, no, I get when you're on some young, happy you're drinking red wine.
Right.
Yeah, good red wine for that matter.
Thank you. Thanks to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, your boss.
But because what I'm trying to say is, I've worked for Remutsui, misunderstood him and understood him. I've worked for Setili Buru, I think. Yeah, Setili Buru I never really misunderstood.
Yeah.
But Setili Buru is just, she's something else.
Yeah.
Love her to bits.
Yeah.
Worked for Matlhogonolo, misunderstood him and then understood him.
Great caliber of people there.
Worked for Matlhogonolo, great, beautiful human being. Misunderstood him and understood him as well. I mean, loved everything he gave me. Worked for Godfrey Modanga, same thing. Worked for Malik Mela More.
Oh, nice. These are all amazing human beings, yeah?
Worked for Ronald Mulusiwa, who's, I've worked for incredibly amazing, Ronald Mulusiwa, who's now late.
Yeah.
I've worked for incredibly amazing people,
the people that work with you, what do they have to say if ever they get a chance to be on a camera and mics and say their piece? What do you suppose they'd have to say about you?
I would. One certifiable word that's always going to come up. They're going to tell you I'm crazy, which I think I am.
I mean,
which I think I am. But I think the world is transformed by people that are crazy.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Speaking of crazy, I hate to cut you because apparently we're out of time. Our 30 minutes is almost running out. Speaking of crazy, and I don't think it's crazy at all. It's just being an African, and it's being an Pan-Africa. Or a Pan-African. Ibrahim Traore?
He is the sexiest. He's the sexiest thing that has ever come out of this earth in my lifetime. I have honestly, it's almost like that
so
man,
sexy how, Matty?
No, that man could have come out of my womb. No, sexy as in, I think I can create that level of intelligence. And that's me being very arrogant and being very sober while at it. No, I think he's amazing. Like, the interesting thing about my story is that my son, Ubiswa Mponang Sankara, Mponang. So my
Thomas?
son, Thomas Sankara. My son is named after Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara, who was betrayed.
Yes. Yes.
By somebody that he thought he
close
could,
person.
Close person to him. This guy is the evolution. I think, and people say, when they talk about people from Burkina Faso, they're like Burkina Fasans. I'm like, nah, they're called Burkina Bay, and I'm very proud of the fact that I know this. But the Burkina Bay people, it's just such an interesting culture, and it's. I think when you go up in Africa, now you're beginning to see the revolution of all things.
Yeah.
Be it Cameroon, be it Cote d'Ivoire, which is Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast,
yeah. I'm just.
I mean, I know that.
I just wanted to tease you, but my point is, you go to Ghana, you go to the other side, you go to Chad, you go to Libya. Even Barack Obama has admitted to the fact that one of the greatest regrets of his presidency is what happened with with Gaddafi.
Gaddafi, yeah. So your Thomas Sankaras, your Ibrahims, your
Patrice Lumumba's DRC,
Lumumba. Oh,
yeah,
recently
yeah,
I was
yeah,
watching
yeah.
a shout out to my dad. My dad, I was over at my
I mean,
dad's.
the Belgian Congo.
The Belgian. I was at my
Yeah.
dad's house.
They cut off their hands.
Cut off their hands. That was terrible.
Yeah.
And they recently brought back, Lumumba's gold teeth,
Yeah.
tooth rather.
Yeah.
Um,
There's the only thing out of his body
Yes.
that is existent
That survived.
was the tooth.
That's
You
crazy.
know what I mean?
That's
Like,
crazy.
so for me, I look at people like Bo Duma Boko, and I look at him and I see, and I say this all the time,
Yes.
you know,
Shout out to the speaker.
yeah, and Bo Dumelang Salshando.
Great caliber of man, yeah.
Dumelang Salshando is most likely one of the best politicians this country has ever produced. If you go,
want to agree. I want to agree with that.
If you go and you look at his, you're a lawyer, and you
Yep.
look at referendum, you look at law, what he's been able to influence, pound for pound. There is no person who has been able to put as much change in effect
Yeah.
within the lives of Botswana as much as him. Will he be president in my lifetime? I don't know.
Yeah.
Will he not? I don't know.
Yeah.
What do I think of him right now? I think he's challenging the system as he's challenged the system before. As Boduma did as well.
Yeah.
What do I think of Boduma, Bondaba? I mean, Bondaba, Ndaba Salshando, Ndaba Khawalate, rather. And I say Ndaba Salshando because Ndaba is almost like an algorithm between Dumelang Salshando and himself. Because
I get that.
Yeah, the level of intelligence and but you see now Duma, the evolved Duma, the current Duma,
Yes.
Boko. I mean, he's just unparalleled.
So
what I'm talking about Botswana.
Of course.
But so why should that not be? And so for me, I think that right now, all we want is clear decision making that is made from a place that is not petty, that is made from a place that is singularly objective and made for the upliftment of Botswana. And we go, we move. And so that is not something he can achieve Duma
alone.
What are the people that he surrounds himself?
Right.
He has to choose very carefully. And unfortunately, at this point in time, well, fortunately or unfortunately, I can't be the judge of who they are.
The caliber of people right now.
I think it's unfair. I think when people ask us to comment on this government right now, it's very unfair.
Also from not from a politician's point of view, because you're not a stern politician. You're not a politician by virtue of description, right? You're an HR executive corporate person who has an interest with political outcomes.
I would say I'm a citizen, hey?
Citizen.
I'm a citizen.
That's even bigger than that.
I'm a citizen.
Yeah.
I'm a citizen.
But you see, the reason why I brought Ibrahim, right, was that we don't seem to have the caliber of that person with almost every other African country. The presidency, right? I would hope that spirit, whatever that spirit is, whoever that guy resembles, or whoever that guy's ancestry of the African crade would be seen in every other African country. Then you would have the idea that Julius Malema might have, the idea that Ibrahim might have, the idea that Gaddafi had before he was taken out, to have a united Africa.
You talk about Julius Malema. I love Julius Malema. And I know it's not politically correct to admit to it, but I love.
You love the chap?
I love me some Julius Malema. You know what? I love the fact that he's pure, unadulterated him.
Yeah. So you know what I want you to do, Matty. We're about to go. When you speak about Julius, I want you to merge it with the idea of an Africa that is united. Africa that doesn't have borders at all.
That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
Like you know, I you know what? I think a lot of people that don't understand the sentiment of what he stands for will look at him as some kind of recalcitrant, you know, ineptitude.
Hey, which word is this?
Well, look it up.
Hey,
You know, recalcitrant, ineptitude,
Okay.
you know, dimwits.
Right.
But I think Julius Malema is most likely one of the most, you know, like, you know, forbearing and leadership.
Yes.
You know, thought leadership
Right.
elements of our time, because this is why I'm saying this. He was not microwaved to success.
No.
I think a lot of people, and this is why I believe in the likes of Duma Boko.
Right.
This is why I believe in the likes of Traore.
Traore, yeah.
You know, these are people that are seasoned. By what they've been baked. You know, you got people that know the pain. You know, the pain of wanting something, and people that also want to spare others from that pain.
Right,
They're
right.
saying, yo, we want you to get here, but we don't necessarily need you to go through what we've gone through.
I like the way you
Because
put it.
I don't like the
you
idea
listening to
that
this?
in order for you to be a revolutionary, you need to look ragged and smelly. And,
No.
You know,
No.
but Julius Malema has paid the penance. I mean, the dude, like, listen, I think a lot of people would find it very strange that I will say this, but I just freaking.
Let's hear it.
I freaking love Julius Malema. I love the way his mind is. I love the way he's convincing. I love the way he speaks his English with that strong,
With
my
a strong
sister,
accent.
South African
Yep.
accent.
Yep.
My sister. I love that. I love his originality, his authenticity.
Yeah.
I particularly love the fact that he's able to have the intellectual capacity to be able to call out the fact that they're like American fiefdoms of military bases, Botswana.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even need to say Botswana, but he says it and then he comes to the inauguration. These South African guys, South African guys, in terms of the ability to just distill issues.
Right.
I cannot speak on anything else because that's all I see, right? But Uti na Julius Malema,
Uti.
we're the same. And then Julius Malema is like a younger Mugabe.
For sure.
Before Mugabe
Became
got
power
polluted.
polluted. Yeah.
But, then you look at Bonobo Thomas Sankara. So when I look at Africa, I look at these guys and I hope they can.
Oh my gosh. I love that you did a full circle thing there.
Yeah.
Matty, we're out of time. I need you to look into the camera, right? What do you want to say? What do you want to say as your final words anyway? I don't want to prompt you to anything.
This is the last podcast I'm doing with you before we
we
host one together. Yeah.
Also, we got to make an announcement. We got to make an announcement right after the final words, okay?
Yeah. Like you and I are about to co-host a podcast
Co-host a
together.
podcast. Yeah.
We're going deep, we're going in.
Yep.
You know what? Go out and be great. Go out and be yourself. Go out and just literally be anything that you can imagine. And the key to everything in life is to be real.
I love that.
Be real, be authentic, because nothing can beat that. Because then when you're real in yourself, you don't have to remember your own lies.
Ooh. I'll remember that.
Don't have to remember that next time when you tell your fiance something. But anyway, it's been real.
Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, my sister, thank you so much for bringing us back into your house. It's always amazing. The fireplace chat, that's what it is. I had a great time. As always, really. You know what I've learned is to let you just talk, because I pick a lot of things when you speak. It's a lot of gems in there. And for this episode, I appreciate you. And I know that people are going to love it when they watch this. And I can't wait for, the podcast to drop. You need to give us a name for what we're about to do together.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Shay has got nothing on it.
Shay's got.
Nah.
Ooh, speaking of Shay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good. We're out of time.
Yeah.
You know what the trouble is in right now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
a bit regrettable.
Yeah. But it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the exec head, HR Botswana, and so much more than
Please
that.
just say Matty. Why are you
I was
talking about my
I was
label?
about to say that. I did say more, about to say that. I did say more, so much more than that, because you are more than that, right?
Just say Matty. Guys, Matty.
Matty. Give it up for Matty. And thank you so much going out to our sponsor for this episode, Apple City. Thank you so much for. Oh, so I had a few people that thought I would look good if I put these on, you know?
Yeah.
And apparently the next episode, this whole, hand is going to be filled with.
Yeah.
Guys, check out Alaki jewel pieces, all right? Or jewelry pieces. Alaki, that's Alika. Jewelry pieces on Instagram. Yeah, you won't regret it. But it's been amazing. Thank you so much going out to Dobston and the amazing crew over here at the Juice 2.0 podcast. The next episode that you're probably going to see will be probably with Matty, myself, and another person. God bless you and stay juicy. Peace.